So in Assassin's Creed Shadows, one of the most important aspects of the game is taking advantage of the hideout. The hideout is a location for you to build a really awesome base, but it also has a combination of really powerful buffs that you need to take advantage of. So in today's Assassin's Creed Shadows video, I'm going to show you some really powerful tips on how to utilize your hideout to the fullest of its capacity, while also giving you some solid tips and tricks on how to maximize how to build your base. By the end of this video, you're going to have a very clear direction on what to do with the hideout. Let me show you how to perfect your base hideout. Alright, now that you've seen this intro, you know what this video is about. Let's talk about the base. There's two core things we need to start with. We're going to talk about the basics first. The first thing, what is the base for, and what is the hideout is going to benefit the player. The first one is the base is for players who are interested in having like a hub. If you like decorating, you like building stuff. As you can see here, I put a pretty terrible base together. But I'm not a decorator, mind. But yeah, you have a nice little hub. You can do something to decorate, and it's a cool little feature. But for the extreme vast majority of you guys, the purpose of the base is these things at the top are here to give you the efficiency to get resources. That is the function outside of the forge. The forge is there to upgrade your weapon. And for the most part, all these other buildings here are used to basically make it so that you can build these buildings here to make your character be effective. So the first thing you're going to be investing into the moment you get into this game is going to be at the stables. The reason for this is very simple. What the stables does on your first upgrade is, one, it's the cheapest upgrade that you're going to get. You're going to be forced to build the like housing area, which is fine. Like that's the story mission. But this is going to be your first upgrade, because what this does is whenever you use your like guys, your scouts, to get resources and you tag them, it's going to cost 1. Initially, when you start, you're going to have access to 3 scouts, and it's going to cost you 2. This means that you're only capable of only ever tagging 1 stockpile the moment you start the game, unless you go back to one of the locations to refill your scouts, which we're going to talk about in a second. This means that the moment you get this upgrade, it's going to reduce it to 1, meaning you get 3 instantly. This is one of the most cost-effective upgrades that you can get, and it should be your very first upgrade. I'm gonna say the third one for much later after you do some other things, but first you're going to get this one. Make sure you get it first. Let's go talk about some other things though before we move on to the other pieces of the base that you're going to be upgrading. All right, so now we're in the Kakuraga. I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff, so I may mess it up, but you guys know how to say the word. You're in one of those things. These things are all over the map. Sorry, minor spoiler. I'm gonna release this video probably like on the 20th or 21st or something, so it's not that big of a spoiler. But these things are all over the map, and they're going to cost you a portion of Mon to essentially open. You're going to have a bunch of upgrades that we're going to talk about in a second that's going to give you more of these, but generally speaking, most major towns will have one of these around. And these are important because they're fast travel locations, and most importantly, they have the ability to refill your scouts. So as you can see here, I can't refill it. I'm gonna just go use a scout for the sake of it. Scouts are gonna obviously be for tagging and then give you information. We're gonna just dispatch it to use it. We're gonna use 140 Mon to basically refill our scouts. At the moment, as of recording this video, obviously I have way more scouts. I have 7 available to me. No, 6 available to me. So I can go tag 6 things before I need to come back and refill it. There's gonna be some upgrades that make this way more efficient, so that it's going to be base 200. You get the upgrade, it's going to make it 140. We're going to talk about the efficiency of using this in a second, but let's talk about it. You need to use this these buildings specifically to refill your scouts all around the map if you're not finding scouts to refill. Obviously, when you're playing, you have these refill stockpiles. This is going to refill all your items and stuff like that, but the major thing here is to make sure you always have this so you can refill scouts, so that you're tagging, you're making it more efficient for your base. All right, so we're going to go ahead and tag some resources and give you an example of what you get when you tag them. So you can see here, I'm going to use 1 to smuggle some resources because I found this, and it's going to give me some rocks. So as you can see, for tagging that 1 resource bin, I was able to get 72 rock out of this. Now keep in mind, this is a low zone. There are multiple versions of these. Typically when you go to a castle, and I'm going to show you here how it's structured. See how it says wealth is low? This means that the resources that you tag will have a certain amount of supply in them, okay? And that's super important to know. So whenever you go fight a castle, make sure you know this, because it could be bad. There's some castles that will have a stockpile, and you'll visually see it'll have significantly more on it, and it'll give you more. Now, the purpose of me showing this to you is because I got 72 for 1 tag, okay? Let me go give you an example of the value of this. Every single port city, from what I can tell, has a trader. He's represented by a ship on the map here, as you can see here, called Port Trader. And this Port Trader can sell you items. Now, I believe relative to the season, certain items will have certain values to them, okay? So, for example, right now, these are worth 3, these are worth 4. I'm going to just use wood as an example because apparently I should have tagged the wood. But I probably would have gotten more, but let's get 72 of these to show you exactly the value of 72 of these. Now, keep in mind, rock is way more expensive. Rock is almost always like 6 compared to wood and food. So, as you can see there, the cost for just using wood, for 72 wood, it's going to cost 288 mon. Now, for rock, which is usually more expensive, we got 72 for the price of 1 tag. Now, keep in mind that tag cost me 140. Naturally, for you, if you're new to the game, it's going to cost you 200. So you already save on 88 mon for specifically going to tagging it and smuggling it compared to buying it from a world trader. And again, keep in mind, this is probably about 350 if this is actually stone. Now, what I'm trying to point out here is utilizing the refill is going to be way more efficient in giving you the ability to get more resources. So going back to it and having those around the world is super important. And this is why going to the stable as your first upgrade and some of your other upgrades is really important, because it's going to make using these scouts to get these resources way more efficient. Keep in mind, what we tagged was a low wealth location. Now, if this is a high wealth location, you're going to get a ton of resources for the same tag. So that's super important to know. Hopefully you understand the importance of the scouts for your base, because it's going to make you snowball much faster with resources. Now, with that out of the way, what is going to be your next resource upgrade? Stables is number 1 outside of getting this thing. The next thing you're going to pick up is a study and a blacksmith in the forge. Now, the forge is going to be lower priority because of the way it works. So the way the forge is going to work is it's going to give you the ability to upgrade your weapons early on. Like you're not hitting 20 anytime soon. Non-legendary engravings are okay, but I don't feel like you need a lot of power. And by the time you do need power, you're going to be able to afford to get both upgrades. Now, the study on the other hand is really, really big, because every time you do an upgrade, it's going to give you an additional scout to join the league. As you can see here, the level 1 is going to give you, and it's not that expensive, the level 1 one. So this is a big priority build. The second one is going to give you another additional scout, and the third one is going to give you another additional scout, and it's going to reduce the search zone for quests by 60%. It's okay, but for the most part, you should be okay to understand like where everything is. For the most part, this is, in my opinion, the best upgrades that you're going to get early. After the stable upgrade is going to be the study. Now, after the study, I do actually like upgrading this building specifically, because it does, at least the first one, for example, is going to make it so that if you're one of those players who really want to treasure hunt and you want rumors to like just do extra side quests, this is going to be really good for it. I don't love this building upgrade, but I do think it has some value for some players. I still think the study is going to be more effective for the average players, just so that you're getting more value out of your like your scouts and resources. Don't be afraid to upgrade this, but I still don't think this is the best. The additional location in Japan is actually pretty big though, and the unlock cost is actually pretty big too. So once you start getting to a point where you're actively going out and like really exploring, like super in the open world, upgrading this is actually going to be pretty big for like efficiency and getting more quests and getting more bang for your buck. So this is an important building. I just personally put the study above it, in my opinion. With that in mind, there are a few things that you need to get here from the bottom row that I think is major priority. First off, the Terra. This is just going to give you 10% experience. It's a very cheap build for the most part. I think the hardest thing on this was the wood. But wood is not hard to come by, so you definitely want to build that one first. It's just raw 10% experience, nothing too much to think about. Honestly, you can kind of do both. The Nanado is good too, because this is going to reduce the cost by 30%, making your things way more efficient. And this is going to be your primary focus, is just making sure that you can actually use these scouts to do things in the world, because you're going to use them for scouting out locations, you're going to use them for tagging resources, and every time you're more efficient with it, obviously it's going to be effective. With that said, I think that's pretty much all you need to know about this like hideout system. Everything else is like build at will. Most of this stuff is like cosmetic, and you know, there's like trophies and some other benefits that are good. But for the most part, these are the most important things you need to know. I think that my final thought is make sure you're just utilizing the open world's Kutagura, whatever it's called, effectively. I wasn't doing that at all. I was going there, I was refilling my stock, and I was just running to go fight. And I wasn't refilling my scouts, and I would go into castles that had tons of stockpile, and I would never have any resources, and it actually kind of slowed down my progress in upgrading my base, and I want to make sure you don't make that mistake. Anyway, that is the breakdown. If this video helped you out, leave me a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to be covering pretty much every major game that comes out in 2025. You're going to be playing. Make sure you subscribe, support the channel, all that good stuff. Trying to grow the brand here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next Assassin's Creed Shadows video extremely soon.